Good morning, everybody. I just sent a new link out. The original one did not have a chat dialogue, and I wanted to make sure that we have that, especially since we're going over last week's quiz first. So I've been pushed again to the playroom, and there's two videos going on right now. There's U.S. History and Civil Rights in the office and AP Psychology in the playroom. So we have started our review. We're not learning any more new content. Everything from now on is review. There might be a couple things that pop up when we do go over review and have I post things or videos or whatever, and you're like, oh, I don't remember that word or I don't remember that term. Well, there are some things that I have to cut out for the purpose of time in a semester level psychology class. So AP Psych should be a full long year. We only have a semester and less than because we have this the spring semester. So there might be a couple things that you see on review sites. Know that those things are not tested all that often, but they are good to have if you're like, ooh, I don't know what that is. Maybe jot it down since you are able to use your notes on this AP Psych exam. So that being said, let's go over last week's end of the week quiz over intelligence. You should have gotten the results back through your email, and I can't show you the questions right here. I am going to read the questions, but it might be easier for you to follow along if you pull up your questions from either your email or I don't know how it was sent to you, but the intelligence questions from last week's end of the week quiz, which last week's end of the week quiz wasn't fantastic. It was not as I don't know. There were a few questions that a lot of people got wrong. So we're going to go over those. Let's see here. What was the average? The average, I'm trying to scroll on a different screen and it is just, here we go. The average wasn't that bad. But there was just a few outliers of just really low points of 4s and 5s and 6s. But the average was an 8.17, which is honestly not that bad. But most people, if they got 1 or 2 wrong, they got the same 1 or 2 wrong. And so I did want to bring that up to your attention. So one of the most missed questions was, let me see if I can get there. I believe it was the first one. It says a female, and this is 39% of people got this right. 41% of people got this wrong. So we're looking at more people are getting this wrong than right. So this is definitely something we need to, I was thinking about this question as I was typing, and I knew that it was going to be a challenging question. I just hope that it wouldn't trick you up as much as it did. Okay, so the question is, a female student was rejected by a college because her score on a test used by the college to predict performance was below the college's cutoff score. So let's say she took the SAT or something and she got a lower score than what they wanted. An influential alumnus of the college intervened on the student's behalf and the student was admitted. 4 years later, the student graduated with honors. The most likely explanation of this outcome is that the test did what? So the SAT that she took, that she didn't do very well on, she did poorly on it, and it was supposed to predict her performance in college, and she did badly on it. But then 4 years later, she's graduating with honors. So the test was supposed to measure her performance in college, and it didn't do that all that accurately. It was supposed to measure how well she was going to do. She did well, but the test says she wasn't going to, which is validity. So it has less than perfect validity was the right answer here. A lot of people said reliability. Reliability is when you take the same test twice or 2 different forms or versions of the test and you get the same score. So if she had taken the SAT first and then taken the SAT again and gotten completely different scores, then it would be less than perfect reliability. But because validity is about was a test supposed to measure and does it actually measure that? It was supposed to measure her college performance. It didn't because she did really well when the test said she wasn't going to. So it wasn't about reliability. It was about validity, which is different. Um, the one where the psychologist develops a new assessment instrument for depression, gives it to the sample of clients, and then gives it to the same sample again. That was a reliability question. And here's a good test taking strategy. Chances are they're probably not going to have two reliability questions back to back. So on this quiz that I gave you, one of them was reliability, one of them was validity. But a lot of people were like, reliability, reliability again. But if you notice, those two questions are different. There are two different things that are happening in each of those questions. It says a standardized test must have all the following except. Well, let's talk about what they do have. A standardized test needs to have a criteria for scoring, needs to have testing norms, uniform instructions, and reliability, but it doesn't have to have multiple choice questions. Like you're about to take an AP exam that will not have any multiple choice questions. A test that is labeled an achievement test is most likely to be given to, and it's supposed to allow a student to be exempted from a college course. Because if it's an achievement test, it is testing on, do you know enough to get out of this college course? Not can you learn, but did you learn? So achievement is more like a unit test. They used to have those more. I remember when I was in high school, they had CLEP tests, and you could take as many CLEP tests as you wanted. And there wasn't like, I don't think there were classes in high school for CLEP. It was like, oh, I'm a native speaker of Spanish. I don't want to take Spanish in high school or college. And so I'm going to test out of it. It wasn't an AP test. It was like, you already know it because maybe this is like something that you're passionate about or whatever. And you wanted to, I don't want to take entry level algebra because I'm in calculus. And so you would take, like, you might take a calculus test to get you out of calculus, but you'd have to still take like other algebra classes. Well, then you could CLEP out of those because you're like, see, I know all of this. And then you wouldn't have to take maybe like any math or any whatever. Okay. 95% of you got the math question right with the child is 10 with a mental age of 8. And a half, and he has an IQ of an 85. Barbara is a talented architect. Which type of intelligence? And 95% of you, once again, she's an architect. I even used that as an example in one of my lectures. She has spatial intelligence. She understands where things are in space. 89.8% of you guys got the next question correct with Charles Spearman. Concept of G is most accurately defined as a single underlying intellectual capacity measured by IQ tests. So it is just like you either have it or you don't. An IQ test would be a perfect way to describe what general intelligence is, what G is for Spearman. Okay, the next question, it says most intelligence scores are normed such as the mean score is 100 and the standard deviation is 15. Therefore, the discovery of the Flynn effect says that we get like our IQ scores go up over time, leads one to conclude that, and the correct answer should have been that IQ test should be renormed, meaning like we find out what the new norm is. If we get smarter every single year, we always need to change the norm at periodical intervals. Okay, so here's the thing. IQ scores have gone up over time, but that doesn't mean that the average is not 100 anymore. It still is 100. Because remember, IQ being 100 says a 10-year-old knows and thinks like a 10-year-old should. That they are at the level that they should be. But here's the thing. 10-year-olds now are much smarter than they used to be in, the 1800s or the 1900s. They have more access to information. Their education's better. Their diet's better. So here's the thing. It's not that the IQ scores have gone up, but what an average 10-year-old should be able to do has gone up. So maybe if you take a 10-year-old from today and put them 100 years ago, that 10-year-old would have had an extremely high IQ because that 10-year-old would be processing at an 1800 year of a 15-year-old or 20-year-old. And so it would look like this is a super genius. It's just that child knows a whole lot more now than they did back then. This one, a lot of people got not a huge percentage, but a decent amount of people got this one wrong. This next question, it says, which of the following is best evidence that environment, like how you grew up, where you grew up, the environment plays a role in intelligence. And 70% of you guys said that it's because identical twins reared together. Reared together means they grew up in the same environment, they lived in the same household, are more similar than that of identical twins reared apart. So they're keeping the identical part the same. They're identical twins in one house versus identical twins in different houses. The ones reared together are going to be more similar because they're reared together, is the thing that they have in common. They're reared together is that the environment that they have is playing a role into their intelligence. Okay. And then the last one. Ms. Reagan, who is a teacher, agrees more with Howard Gardner's theory of intelligence rather than Charles Spearman's theory of intelligence. Which of the following scenarios would she most agree with? Okay, so you have to know who is Howard Gardner, and you need to know what's going on with Charles Spearman. So Howard Gardner, he had multiple intelligences. That's what he believed. Spearman only had one. He only had that general intelligence. G, you either have it or you don't. But Howard Gardner had 8 multiple intelligences, because there's one of these, I forget which one, there's one of these that says they have 3 levels of intelligence. Do you remember who that was? That wasn't Howard Gardner. It wasn't Spearman. It was Sternberg. Sternberg had multiple intelligences, but he said there was only 3, the analytical, creative, and practical. Howard Gardner, he's got the interpersonal and intrapersonal, spatial, mathematical, what am I saying? Logical, that's mathematical. Natural, there's several. I don't have them off the top of my head, but so the answer choice that most people wrote, but this one was another most missed question. It says Mrs. Reagan thinks that her students exhibit more than one type of intelligence. For example, she notices her student, and it cuts off. Hold on, can I scroll sideways? She notices her student. Hold on. Why are you working? Noel. And then it cuts off. I can't read the rest of it, unfortunately. I'm assuming it says Noel has, and then they mention one of Howard Gardner's types of intelligence. Remember, he has 8. Okay. Are there any questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, or concerns about last week's end of the week quiz? Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, concerns? Okay. As you guys are thinking, I have information for you guys really quickly. So I usually do office hours for AP Psych on Wednesdays and Fridays. As of this week and from now on, we'll only be doing them on Wednesdays because I had a department meeting on Tuesdays, but now they've been moved to Fridays, which is the same time as our office hours. And honestly, there's only 5 of you here. So I will always answer emails or questions through Remind, or if you leave a message on Google Classroom, I will always answer those. Just we won't have office hours on Fridays anymore. It's just because I've got a Zoom meeting at the same time. So and then we have Eco is gonna be fine. But you guys, there's only 5 of you anyway. So questions, comments about anything about intelligence before we move on to review. Who's here this morning? Sounds like a better plan anyway. Yeah. I hate to disappoint the 5 of you that show up, but you have to, if you're an economist, you have to weigh your marginal cost versus your marginal benefit, and the cost of upsetting the department by not being at any of the meetings. That's more than. Who is Chris Tannings? I completely disagree with you. I believe peanut butter goes well with jam and is delicious regardless of what you say. I don't know who you are, but thank you for your feelings. Okay. We're moving on to biological basis of behavior review, which I posted at the beginning of this week. I don't think it's due until midnight tonight. And then I also just recently, for the assignment due tonight, can we just turn it into AP Review Classroom, or do we have to put in our own classroom too? Like our class period. Oh, like your class period. I posted, Krista, I posted it on the review site because the fall semester kids are like, can you send us some stuff too to review? So I sent it there and assigned it there just because it's easier for me to just like add that review class period when I'm assigning something. But do not, I'm free and I wanted to learn something. So what can be learned here? I am going to like do it in your classroom. In your, Krista, you're in second period? First period? I forget. It's been a while. But Krista, you're going to put it into your like first period or second period, like AP Psych Google Classroom, not the review. When I assign something to that review, that is just to give access to the fall semester kids. Okay, yeah, so put it in your first period, Krista. Okay. Any questions before we I'm not going to go over, there's how many questions? There's 33 questions on here. I will go over 10 of them because 33 will be here all day. And honestly, I don't have the key in front of me. I just have the worksheet in front of me, and I figure I can just answer it as I go, but it'll take me a minute or two to do all 33. So does anyone have any questions about any particular ones? Otherwise, I was just going to do random things. Well, Chris, it's good to have you. Thank you for coming. We're reviewing for AP Psychology. Their test is soon. So did anyone have any questions about any of those? Brain parts are fun. Not really. It wasn't that difficult. I think there was one term that we didn't. Okay, I'm about to have to shut this down. There was one term that we didn't cover in class, but I think it was part of a Quizlet anyway, and it was glial cells. And I honestly don't know what answer, like which question glial cells is, but glial cells give support to neurons. Does anyone know? Okay, Regina, let me write that down and I will go over those. I need to have like a notebook paper. This is Matthew's desk, and I don't want to write on anything that I shouldn't write on. Okay. All right, Regina, I will go over 1, 2, 16, and 17. Does anyone else want me to go over anything? Hindbrain, midbrain, forebrain. Ainsley, do you have any? Okay, I'll do that. Hindbrain. I was wondering if if those go along with certain numbers, but and forebrain. Krista, are you just agreeing with Ainsley? Is that what those little carrot tops are? Yes. Okay. All right. First, we're going to go over what Regina asked. And hold on. I think they're 22 and 23. Okay. All right, so let me go over what Regina said first, which was 1, 2, 16, and 17. Okay. One and two. Neurons, they both start with neurons. Number one is neurons that receive information, and then number two is neurons that transmit information. Okay, so receiving information is going to be a sensory neuron. A muscle that transmits information, and notice how this says to the muscles that actually move the body, those are called motor neurons. So if it's bringing in information from your senses, like do you smell that? Do you taste that? Do you touch it, hear it, whatever? That's a sensory neuron. It's receiving information from the outside of your body and bringing it to your brain. Then you're like, okay, I've got to move my hand. I've got to move my feet. I got to breathe. Then information travels from your brain and to the muscles of your body, and those are motor neurons. So number one was sensory. Number two was motor. What confused me, though, is that sensory neurons and motor neurons also have synonyms, which are also in the word bank. So the word bank at the very top, it looks like the second column has the term sensory neurons somewhere in the middle, and also the motor neurons in the middle. They're both in the middle of that column. But does anyone know the synonyms for sensory and the synonyms for a motor neuron? They're also there. I wonder if 22 and 23 are also the same questions. No. Okay. Or 16 and 17. Oh, okay. Okay. So 16 and 17 and 1 and 2 are the same questions, but I think 1 and 2 are asking more about like sensory and motor, but then 16 and 17, they are the synonyms for sensory and motor. And I just think it sounds more like 16 and 17 are about afferent and efferent. So good job, Regina. Afferent. And if you look at the text, if you look at the live chat, or you can just look at your worksheet at the very top of the left-hand column, it's like 3 from the top, it says afferent neuron. That's synonym for sensory neuron. And then where's efferent? Do I see it? Why isn't this alphabetical? Oh, efferent neurons is on the third column, second from the top. So afferent neurons are sensory neurons, and efferent neurons are motor neurons. I don't know why they would. They're synonyms. But 16 and 17, 16 says nerves that carry information inwards. So that's going to be either sensory or afferent neurons. And nerves that carry information outwards is going to be either motor neurons or efferent neurons. The reason that I think 1 and 2 are sensory and motor is because on number 2, it directly says, to allow the muscles to move the body. And usually when you see muscles, you're going to think of motor neurons because like motor moves the muscles. So I think 1 and 2 are clearly trying to say sensory and motor, while 16 and 17 are afferent and efferent. That is it. That is the difference. Okay. Ainsley, we can get to your hindbrain, midbrain, and forebrain. I wish I could show you this picture. I wonder if I could add a link to it. I wonder. Copy. Paste. Okay. That's too many. Okay. I have an idea. Because I want to show you this picture, and I think it makes sense. If I can open it up. Okay. That is not what I wanted. Sometimes the internet is okay. I want to open image in a new tab, and then I want to send you this link to this tab. Cut and paste. Okay, can you click on that link? And you can actually, hopefully that link opens up in a new tab and it doesn't just like close this one out. It just is, instead of breaking the brain into like all its separate parts, it puts them into categories depending on where they are. So you see the forebrain, which is the very top of the brain. That's going to be your cerebral cortex. So that's going to be all the lobes. It says it has other words on here, which I've never seen before. But think of the forebrain being all the lobes, and it also includes, you see the hypothalamus and the thalamus. The midbrain, that's going to basically be your limbic system. And that's, I mean, we remember when we took it apart and we like put it back together, the midbrain is going to be in the middle. It's going to be your limbic system. And then your hindbrain is basically your brain stem, but it also has your cerebellum. So remember that little wrinkly part in the very back of the brain? That's the cerebellum. It's not part of the brainstem, but it is part of the group of body parts that are considered the hindbrain. So hind, mid, fore, and just knowing what. So like if it says a question about like which part of the midbrain is responsible for memories? Yes, the frontal lobe has the responsibility of memories in the frontal lobe, but it wasn't a midbrain part. Midbrain part would be a limbic system. Limbic system would be amygdala, hippocampus, and hypothalamus. And if it's memory, it's going to be hippocampus. So it just helps you narrow down which part of the brain they're talking about and doesn't distract you with like, but this other part of the brain does that. It's like, yeah, but we said midbrain, or we said forebrain, or we said hindbrain, or whatever. Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas. And I think those questions were what, 20, 22 and 23, Ainsley, you said? Yeah, 22 says the parts of the brain that include the cerebellum, the two structures found in the lower part of the brainstem. Yeah, so that's going to be the hindbrain. And 23, it says the segment of the brainstem that lies between the hindbrain and the forebrain. Okay, between the hindbrain and the forebrain's got to be the midbrain. Okay. I still haven't found the answer choice. See if you guys can find it for glial cells. Glial cells have popped up on a few AP tests in the past, but they've typically been multiple choice questions. So I don't know how they're going to do that. If they're going to put it on FRQ, but glial cells are. What's the link? I had to leave for. Oh, the link is a picture, Krista. The link is a picture of the brain broken up into the sections of midbrain, forebrain, and hindbrain, and just the categories of the cell or the body parts that go in there. Regina, number 11. Oh, yes, a supportive cell in the nervous system that surrounds the neurons but does not collect. Yes, that is glial cells. I think of it as oh, what is that group? My brain. I swear, I feel like I'm getting dumber and dumber every single day, not being in school. The group at school, they assist like sports teams. They drive around in their little cars and they wrap ankles and they give water. What are those people called? They help. They are at the, like, they go to the building that's in the back of the school that's by the football stadium, and they help. And Crystal's ornaments there. Trainers! Trainers. Yes, the trainers. Ugh. Okay, so I think that glial cells are like the trainers, athletic trainers. Yeah. What's that building back there behind the school? That's, girl, check the chat. Yeah, I'm reading it. athletic trainers, but the building behind the field house. God, thank you. Oh my God, help. Okay. All right. Send help. All right. Are there any questions left on this worksheet before you guys, before we move on? I was just going to give you guys just some brief overview of what we're going to be doing the next couple of weeks, but questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, or concerns about that brain parts worksheet? Man, my brain. Okay, well, if no questions, here's what's going on. So for review, I'm going to be posting more stuff than I don't want to say this out loud. I'm going to be posting more stuff that I'm going to be grading. So I posted a review game yesterday. That was like a Jeopardy thing. And people were like, do we have to do this? This is part of a grade. How do you know what we got? It's like, okay, so this brain worksheet, that was your completion grade for the week. And you'll get an end of the week quiz on Thursday. But so that was just for your own benefit, for you guys to like look at that. That's what I would go in there and be like, I know. Oh, I don't know that. Let me write it down in my notes because it's open note. I know. Oh, I don't know that. Let me write that down. So, that's so, and I also posted another thing today that is for sensation and perception. It is a quiz is. I don't know how familiar you are with quiz is. Think of it as a game like Kahoot that you can play at home. So the quiz is, it's a review game you play on your phone. I think the question pops up and it gives you like, yeah, you got it right, or no, you didn't get it right. But it's to help you with sensation and perception. And once again, to be like, oh, I know that. Oh, I don't know that. Let me write that down. Gwen, Wernicke's area and Broca's area. Broca's area is being able to speak. Wernicke's area is understanding. So Broca's area, the word broca sounds a lot like the Spanish word for mouth, which is boca. So boca, broca, move your mouth. Wernicke is kind of a hard word to understand sometimes. It's like, what? And so I always think of like Wernicke that's just word, what is it again? I don't understand. And so that's how I remember it. So there you go. Okay. Did that weird creepy kid leave? Thank God. Okay, moving on. All right. Any other questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, or concerns before I let you guys go off and have fun for the remainder of your Wednesday? Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, concerns? You reported him? Thank you, Maddie. How do you do that? Do you click on him? How do you do that to report someone? Because that might be good to know. And thank you. Us girls gotta, stick together. Click on his profile pic. Oh, okay. I almost, I didn't want to because I know that's like bait and he's trying to like antagonize to like me say something back. But I almost was all like, you use the wrong your. It should be you apostrophe RE, not your idiot. And learn more. But I didn't want to like go there. So anywho, I'm going to let you guys go. I'll talk to you guys later. Not Friday because we only are going to do office hours now on Wednesdays. So I will see you guys next Wednesday. Make sure that you guys are getting all your paperwork for review together. So you have like a nice little review book when you guys sit down to take the test. And I will talk to you guys later. Peace out, Girl Scout. Bye.